welcome once again to Elders of GMS, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Today's topic is entitled Understanding the Book of Revelation. And the reason why I'm going through this title is because there was one of the brothers from out in the West that had made a video, and he had went a little off, but you know, that's all right. That happens, you know. He had got back in contact with the brothers and said, "Oh, I made a mistake. I didn't realize it." And that's why what we're going to do is we're going to go through, you know, most of the book of Revelation, or the different chapters of Revelation. We don't have to go through all of them because some of them are pretty easy to understand. The first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter is pretty much easy to understand. I would say the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and beyond, you're going to have a little trouble with those breakdowns. So we're going back through that. I don't know if this is going to be this is only going to take one show, or there's going to be a sequel the following week, but we'll go with the spirit. Before I go into that, though, I just want to mention a video came up the other day. Some brother sent me the video.
All right.
And you'll see it. You'll see it right. You'll see it before your screen right now. It's a guy that looks like Jim Kelly from the '70s black movies, and another guy that looks like Chinese water rat. That Chinese water rat looking guy, the light skin looking guy, that his name is Saadia, and the Jim Kelly look-alike, he looks like his name is Rum, and they're from Boston, and Boston was set up by myself years ago, back in the early '90s. I had went up there and had set up. Those were the two main guys that I dealt with, and it became a big camp, but it dwindled down to nothing. Now, there was a lot of controversy through the years with that camp and the main school. There was a split that took place, as we spoke about it before, and we had a major council dealing with the whole Cornelius thing. Now, this whole Cornelius thing keeps coming back up. So we had a council, and Gabar was the one that brought out the scriptures on Cornelius being the Israelite, and basically a handful of brothers saw it, but then when we had the next council, they flipped and said they didn't see it, you know, which showed that they wasn't grounded. And most of them guys didn't see anything, and it led to us being kicked out of the school. But what happened was, after we so-called got kicked out of the school, because I was over Connecticut, actually it was a power play to try to get control of Connecticut, all right? Because they basically, at the One West School, it was like all about a power trip, guys being on the top level and controlling shit. So the same thing happened when the split came. So they were trying to just get, you know, centralize everything, so to speak. And they used that whole Cornelius thing to say, "Oh, y'all going off, and y'all can't be in the school." So basically, we was out of the school. But the following week, a bunch of them came up to the school in Connecticut to try to get us to go back to the main school. And basically, I told the main guy, a man by the name of Yaasha, which he's back in the world, I said, "Look, don't call us, we'll call you." So he got the message, you know. And what they didn't understand was we were on a Day of Atonement type fast that day when they came up, which they didn't know about because we didn't tell them. And they got lost coming up there. And your ass had been up there many a time. So how in the hell you going to get lost? Because the spirit wasn't with those guys. And what we found out, there was a lot of bickering and fighting. And basically all those different little groups went about their own business. Now Boston went on their own, and there was a point where they said, "Oh, we don't got to go out there and teach on the street." Now, they can't come and tell me that they were still teaching on the street, because Elder Gabar and Elder Rhymelab was up in Boston for about, what, a year or two? 5 or 6 years, because there was big construction up there. So they were doing construction up there. So they relocated up to Mass to do that. And you know what they did? They went around on Saturdays and Sundays to see if those guys was out there. And they ain't seen those guys out there teaching, all right? Now, years later, when we set up, we were on 34th Street, when we set up on YouTube, you had certain guys come from different states to watch us speak. One of the guys, what's the brother's name? The main brother? Adama. All right, Adama. He came down along with the other brother that they didn't know. What's his name? Imas. And they got together. Now they have the Boston camp. Now, what I found out about Adama is that he was a part of the original camp with Sa'adja and Arum. And he said basically they were wicked as hell, man. They were trying to rip the brother off and all that. I don't know the full he told me, you know, but people tell you stuff, you forget stuff. But anyway, we thought nothing of it. So he actually got the truth from them, but he found that they were wicked. And then he saw us, and then he became the head of Boston. So he knows those guys very well, just like we know those guys very well. And at the council, at that main council at the house of David, they had a big problem with the topic on whether Cornelius is an Israelite or not, right? And they were down with that whole thing that you guys are going off, you got demons on you. Now they came out with this video, and you can, and the first word that pops out of Arum's mouth is, we found out, something to the effect that we found out that Cornelius is an Israelite, Gentile, or whatever. So you can't deny it, and we were the ones that brought, and then they said, oh, the Lord gave it to, well, no, the Lord gave it to y'all back in the 90s. You just close your ears to the Lord, because you didn't like the fact that it was coming out of somebody's mouth. So now you done figured out that Cornelius is an Israelite, just like that blockhead hot dog, Nate Satan, done figured out that Cornelius is an Israelite. And back there, Nate Satan jumped up and down saying you guys are going off. So now, what's the conclusion of the whole thing? We were always right. The Most High was always with us. Because for you to deny something, say you're going off, you got demons, and now you're teaching what we were teaching, but you ain't going to make no video saying, well, there was a council, and, you know, Tahar, Gabar, and Rhymelab, certain brothers showed us that Cornelius was an Israelite. We didn't accept it. We found it out now. We want to apologize. You ain't going to hear no apology from them guys. You ain't going to hear no apology from that clown, Nate Satan. And like I said before, I said, watch, you're going to have guys coming out the woodwork now because these prophecies are coming to pass. So now they're trying to get in the good graces of the Most High. They done dust off their Bible. Some of them are wearing garments. Those guys wasn't even wearing garments, man, when they did that little show. All right? So, you know, the truth's coming out. Oh, another thing, the head of the Houston camp, well, the Houston camp itself confronted some guys that we never seen before, but they claim up and down that they've been out there for years. And me and a couple other brothers kind of came to the conclusion that has to be General Yohana's little motley crew out there, because they speak the same way. When you confront them about something, instead of answering your question, they loud talk you, they over talk you. Well, where's that in the scripture? Where did the Lord ever loud over talk the scribes and the Pharisees? He conversed with the scribes and the Pharisees. And I said that. I said, you're going to have guys out there in the different states that's going to set up camps. You ain't never seen these guys before. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're teaching the word like they've always been out there, and they're concerned about their people. I told you, man, this thing is getting out there, man. So these old heads that you see coming back, They're seeing that the fire is coming back. They see that the Lord, that this spark has come back and the fire's starting, and they're trying to sneak back in there. But it ain't going to work. The Most High done mocked all you clowns. Go ahead.
This is Isaiah chapter 66, verse 5. Hear the word of the Lord, ye that tremble at his word. Your brethren that hated you, that cast you out, for my name's sake said, let the Lord be glorified. But he shall appear to your joy, and they shall be ashamed.
Yeah, they're going to be ashamed. Give me the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, and start from the second verse.
Daniel chapter 12, verse 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life.
Yeah, like us. Some to everlasting life. Go ahead.
And some to shame and everlasting contempt.
And that's those guys that came into the truth. Now they're waking up. They're going to wake up to shame and everlasting contempt. They're trying, like I said, they're trying to get, they're acting like they've been doing this all along. Go ahead.
And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end.
So now this book, now when you go on YouTube, you see all kind of people coming out, going into the scriptures, calling itself, breaking down Revelation, breaking down Daniel, breaking down Ezekiel. Go ahead.
Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
Go ahead.
Okay, it says, then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on the side of the bank of the river, and the other on the...
Jump down to the next
verse 6. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the water of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river.
Jump to the next verse.
Okay, verse 8. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand.
Right, and the wicked are the so-called white man. They don't understand what's going on. Go ahead.
But the wise shall understand. And from
yeah, that's why you got guys that can't see Cornelius is an Israelite, and you got guys just coming around to the fact that Cornelius is an Israelite. Go ahead.
And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days.
I was talking about Antiochus or Antiochus, however you want to say it. That was talking about that time period when he went and defiled the temple. All right, go ahead.
Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. But go thou thy way.
That's after the Most High took Antiochus out of there. All right. Now that's it. That's all I want on that. You got something else? Go ahead.
John chapter 16, verse 1. These things have I spoken unto you, that you should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth the Most High's service.
Yeah, these idiots out there, they think the Most High is really with them. And the Most High is going to be found out that the Most High is not with them. All right? Is there any more? Okay. Say something for me.
Right, so like, see, we know them guys. See, you brothers out there, you don't know those guys because you weren't around back then. So we know them. So as soon as we spot them and say, yeah, there goes that devil again, you know, because they're coming up and they're acting as if they came up with that breakdown, you know, which it wasn't us. It was the Lord that gave it to us. But the bottom line is when we brought it out back then, they set it up so we got kicked out of the school. And the judgment was already typed up and written on the paper, so where if we would have repented, let's say we would have said, no, we're not going to teach that anymore, you know, the judgment was already set in stone.
Well, we won't teach it. As to not offend nobody, we won't teach it, you know? In other words, I threw that approach. You know, Paul said in Corinthians to take low, and then they say, well, is it in your mind? I said, of course it's in my mind. What do you think, I can just take it out like a damn computer program? And then I said, well, how about casting a lot? Then a hot dog jumped up and down like he was in a pot of hot water boiling, jumping up and down saying, that's wicked, huh? That's wicked. But there was no scripture or no law to back up what the clown was saying. I'm talking about Nate Satan, all right? But see, like I said, the Most High
Those are all
done
chapters
showed you who the men of the Lord are,
history.
and
So we went there because
the Most High done set up the men of the Lord all around the world. And these guys are trying to fight to get that spot. They ain't going to get that spot. They ain't going to get that spot. The Most High already ordained who the men of the Lord are.
At that time, we were still in the
Okay?
wilderness with Moses.
And all you sellouts, the Most High going to get all you sellouts. That goes for Comfy, that goes for General Yohana, and the rest of you sellouts out there.
That when we get the land, if we was to
Go
go
ahead.
astray from the
Book of
commandments of
Philippians
the
chapter
Bible,
3 verse 1.
commandments
Finally,
given
my
us
brethren,
by the
rejoice
Most
in the
High.
Lord. To write the same things to you, to me indeed is not grievous, but for you it is safe. Beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the concision. For we are the circumcision which worship the Most High in the Spirit, and rejoice in Yahweh Shai, and have no confidence in the flesh.
That's right. Now we're going to go into the book of Revelation. Like I said, you should have an understanding of the first chapter of Revelation, second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter. They're pretty much self-explanatory. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to start from the fifth chapter of the book of Revelation. And then we're going to jump around to other books. You know, we didn't put any notes down. We didn't come up with this topic 2 days ago or last week. We just came up with it right before we put the camera on, so we're basically going through the Spirit. All right, go ahead.
Revelation chapter 5 verse 1. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaim.
That book is talking about the scriptures. It's talking about the Bible itself. Now, go to Ezekiel, the second chapter. I think it's like the last verse or next to the last verse. All right, go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 2 verse 9. And when I looked, behold, an hand was sent unto me, and lo, a roll of book was therein. And he spread it before me, and it was written within and without, and there was written therein lamentations and mourning and woe.
So that's that same book. Now let's go back to Revelation, where we left off at.
On Revelation 5 and 2. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book, and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven or in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book, and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne, and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of the Most High sent forth into all the earth.
That's talking about Yahushua, and he had to go through coming down on the earth in the form of a man, born of a man and a woman, and he had to be slain because he was that sacrificial lamb. That's how you know it's talking about Yahushua. That's why he's also known as the Lamb. Go ahead.
It says, and he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood, out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. And
right, that every kindred and tongue and people and nation is talking about Israelites that's scattered throughout the planet Earth. So now we're going to read a verse or two more. Then we're going to jump to Revelation, the 7th chapter, because you have a big controversy with these so-called born-againers, that when you read about the 12,000, the 144,000, and then the multitude, the great multitude Well, those are well, the answer is right here, what we're reading right now. Read that again, Ak.
It says, verse 9, and they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation.
Out, these were Israelites that were redeemed out of every nation, out of every kindred, out of every people. Read the next verse down.
It says, and has made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. And I beheld.
And the Most High made us kings and priests. Now get me the book of, I believe it's Leviticus. I'm sorry, I think it's Exodus. Exodus, the 19th chapter, and the 4th verse, if I'm not mistaken. All right, go ahead.
Exodus 19 and 4. You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you.
By the way, the Egyptians are another nation. The Lord didn't come to save Israel, then a handful of Egyptians. There was a separation between the Egyptians and the Israelites. Go ahead.
And how I bear you on eagle's wing.
The you is talking about the nation of Israel, his chosen people. Go ahead.
And brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation.
A kingdom of priests and a holy nation. When did that happen? It didn't happen yet. It's getting ready to happen. Now let's go back to where we left off in Revelation. Okay, go ahead.
It says, these are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
In case you can't get it, it tells you the children, it's talking about the children of Israel. Now let's go back to where we left off.
Revelation 5 and 10. And has made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. And I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beasts of the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches, wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. And every creature which is in heaven and on the earth and under the sea, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I saying, Blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever. And the four beasts said, Amen. And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him that liveth forever and ever.
Now let's go back to where it says a great multitude.
Verse 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seal thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation.
Now let's go to Revelation, the 7th chapter, and let's go right to, what was this verse? Let's go to verse, start at verse 8.
Revelation chapter 7, verse 8. Of the tribe of Zebulun was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Joseph was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Benjamin was sealed 12,000. After this I beheld, and lo,
Now we could have read the whole thing. Matter of fact, I'm sorry. Go to the first verse, and then we're going to jump back to about the 9th verse. Go ahead.
Revelation 7 and 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea.
To destroy this earth, to destroy this system, Esau's system. Go ahead.
Saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of the Most High in their foreheads.
So once the 144,000 are sealed, that's when the Most High going to bring this destruction on this society. And you can see it's happening already. Go ahead.
And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
So you know there's no question that it's not talking about Esau or the other nation. You know it's talking about the children of Israel. But there's a certain number of the children of Israel. All right? Go ahead.
It says, verse 9, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds.
Now you read that verse, and then all of a sudden, here comes the nations. You thinking about Edomites, Moabites, all kind of different nations. Well, it ain't talking about that, because we're going to read this again. We're going to read down, and then we're going to go back to Revelation, the 5th chapter, because it's going to tell you the same story, but there's going to be a key word in there for you to know and understand that that's referring to the nation, the people of Israel. Go ahead.
After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our power, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshipped the Most High, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our power forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes? And whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation.
Those are Israelites that came out of great tribulation, because there's going to be a troublesome time, even the time of Jacob's trouble. I think that's in Jeremiah 30, verse 7, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go to that, and then we're going to go back to Revelation.
All right, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, and verse 7. And it says, Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a...
That's that great tribulation that they're going to come out of. Go ahead.
It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. I got some real quick, Alatar. This is Revelation chapter 19 and verse 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready.
Who's the wife? The wife are the children of Israel, starting with the elect. Go ahead.
And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints.
Now, what verse chapter was that?
19.
And what chapter?
Verse 8 and 9.
That was chapter 19, verses 8 and 9. Now, you notice that it says the word saint there, right? Where you going?
Psalms.
Yeah, give me first Psalm I want you to get is Psalm 50, verse 5, and then get, what is that, Psalm 148? What is it, 13 and 14? Yep. All right, go ahead.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 50, and verse 5. And it says this. It says, Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice.
And the only people that fit are the nation of Israel. When you go back to the time of Moses and the children of Israel, when they went into the wilderness, that's who it's talking about. Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 148, verse 13. It says, Let them praise the name of the Lord, for his name alone is excellent. His glory is above the earth and heaven. He also exalted the horn of his people. That says, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, are people near unto him. Praise ye the Lord.
Yeah, so I don't understand why you have Jakes out there, that you got Jakes out there that want Esau to be saved, but there's no scripture that even comes close to saying that Esau can be saved. But they want to bend backwards to save this damn devil. Now, where do we leave off at in Revelation?
Back in Revelation 7 and 14.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, 13. Revelation chapter 7, verse 13. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of the Most High, and serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst.
In other words, we're not going to catch any more hell. Give me the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter and the first verse. And I go through this a lot, but this is a key scripture right here. And then most of these scriptures that you go through talk about one nation enslaving another nation, namely the children of Israel. That nation is going to pay by going into slavery. So these idiots out here that say that Esau could make it, you notice they'll never go in Isaiah the 14th chapter. They'll never go to Revelation 13, 9, and 10. They'll never go into Exodus 21, 16. They'll never go into Psalms, the 2nd chapter. There's a lot of scriptures I can bring out showing you that they're going into captivity. Any nation that lead another nation into captivity shall go into captivity. All right? Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Right, the strangers are talking about those other Israelites. You have some Israelites that woke up like we woke up before a lot of you did, and then a lot of you saw us, and you clung unto us, meaning that you clung unto what we were teaching, which we were teaching the words of the Most High. Go ahead.
It says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them. And
we know that that's not talking about right now, because over there in the land of Israel, you got a bunch of scum rats over there. That's why the media in this country, whether they be the media, the Congress, the Senate, or the two houses of the Senate, or the two houses of Congress, rather, whatever administration is in office, they always talk about Republicans are different than Democrats. That's bullshit, man. Because none of these presidents ever, from the time of 1948, during the time of the Rothschilds, when they surveyed the land of Israel, and they had set up the land of Israel as the state of Israel, you never had any president say, well, look, we're not going to support Israel. Whether they be Republican or Democrat, they all support the nation of Israel. Why? Because they get their orders from the illuminated ones. Go ahead.
it says, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were.
So what nation brought us into captivity? There were a bunch of nations that brought us into captivity. But what nation are we in the hands of right now? Esau. Give me what is that? Exodus 21:16. Oh, give me that. Because we're in captivity unto this very day. We can't do what the hell we want to do, man. To prove that, go and get you a car. Don't put no driver's license. Don't put no plates on this shit. Don't drive with no driver's license, and then drive like a damn maniac. But don't hit nobody, and I guarantee you're gonna get stopped and you're gonna get locked up, and they're gonna put your ass through the system. Get a daggone house and add a porch on that house. See whether you get a stick on that porch where you got to go to the judge and answer why you putting a porch on your house. Niggas talking about you free. You ain't free. You're under the hands of this damn devil. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, if you guys say that you're not free, you're able to say what you want to say. Well, we're able to say what we want to say because the Most High put the spirit on us to say what we want to say. Plus the Most High made it where this devil put in his constitution the right to free speech. That was in there for us, not for anybody else. Go ahead.
It says, Exodus 21:16. And he that stealeth the man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death.
So not only are you going to go into slavery, a lot of you are going to be put to death in the process. Now, where do we leave off at? All right, go ahead.
Isaiah 14 and 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
And we're going to rule over our oppressors. Give me the blue letter on that, Ak. Rule over our oppressors. Right, Isaiah 14 verse. We're going to read some more out of that. Then we're going to go right back into the book of Revelation, verse 2. Rule.
Isaiah 14 and 2. We're going to go into Greek and look up the word rule. The word there is radah, which means to rule, have dominion, dominate, tread down, to have dominion, rule, subjugate, to cause to dominate, to scrape out, to scrape out, to subdue, to rule over. Let me click on here, see it. Figuratively, to possess oneself of, to take possession of.
Let's read on.
It says, and it shall come to pass in that day, in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased.
That's why you got men around this whole country, Babylon, and around the world, going out in the corners cursing you out. Because that's part of the plans of the Most High. We only doing the work of the Most High. Go ahead.
The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter.
Right, the wicked is talking about you Edomites. Go ahead.
And the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest, and is quiet, and they break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller has come up against us.
That's talking about people. Those trees are actually talking about people. And those people, not only Israel, the other nations, the other dark nations, they're going to be happy that this devil's brought down too. Now, is there more to that? Well, we can go back to where we left off.
Back in Revelation?
Yep.
All right, this is back in Revelation chapter 7 and verse 17. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters, and the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes.
Now let's go back to, yep.
All right, Revelation 5 and 9. And they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and hast made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. And I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beast and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000, and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, saying with a loud voice, worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. And every creature which is in heaven and on the earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I saying, blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever. And the four beasts said, Amen. And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him that liveth forever and ever.
Now let's go from there. There was something that my mind, something escaped me from my mind. Let's go from there to, Dag. I just had it in my mind. Oh, I'm sorry. Just came back. 1 Peter, the 2nd chapter. The key point is in the 9th verse, but let's start from the very top. Go ahead.
This is 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. If so be you have tasted that the Lord is gracious, to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of the Most High and precious. Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to the Most High by Yahushua. Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, Behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded.
Yeah, that chief cornerstone is the Lord. And the ones that follow him and believe him, they're not going to be confounded. You see all these other Israelite groups that are outside of GMS, they're confounded, man. A prime example of that was when the brothers down there in Houston, Texas, rolled up on those clowns up there, and they couldn't even answer back, man. They all had sunglasses on. They didn't understand the scriptures. They didn't want to even talk to the guy, converse with the guy, with the brother, the leader of that camp. And he came out against them bold, man. Go ahead.
That's right. It says, and unto you therefore which believe he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner, and a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient.
Now we got to go to the blue letter, the stone of stumbling. We got to look them words up, and a rock of offense. A lot of these guys hate us because they're offended. We offend them at the way we talk, at the manner in which we talk. Now I'm going to show you something. I'm going to let the brother get it. I'm going to let the brother get it in the blue letter. As soon as you get it, let me know.
Okay, we're going to look up the word stumbling in the Greek.
Strong's G 4348. Proskama. Proskama.
Which means a stumbling block, an obstacle in the way, which if one strikes his foot against, he stumbles or falls. That over which a soul stumbles, i.e., by which is caused to sin. That's pretty much it, stumbling. Okay. Rock of offense. Okay, rock. The Greek, I can handle this one. Petra. A rock, cliff, or ledge. Projecting rock, rocky ground, rock, large stone. A metaphor, man like a rock. So basically it means rock. Let's see. The next one is offense, is it? Yep, offense. Yep.
Strong's G 4625. Skandalon. Skandalon.
Which means the movable stick or trigger of a trap stick, a trap, snare, any impediment placed in the way and causing one to stumble or fall. Stumbling block, occasion of stumbling. That's pretty much it. Just repeats itself. What's the next one? Disobedient. Disobedient? Okay.
Strong's G 544. Apitheo. Apitheo.
Which means not to allow oneself to be persuaded, not read that again, not to allow oneself to be persuaded, to refuse or withhold belief, to refuse belief and obedience, not to comply with. Down here, to refuse belief and obedience.
That's why they can't get it, man. They refuse to get this truth. Now, I'd like the brother to get me, the elder to get me Isaiah, the 28th chapter, and start from the 7th verse, and we're going to read down past into the 9th, 10th, maybe the 11th verse. All right, go ahead.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 7. But they also have erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment.
Yeah, that's those clowns, like Sa'adju and Arum. They erred, and they stumbled in vision. Because this was given to him how many years ago? Boy, that was about 16 years ago, man. This was given to him, and they're just getting it now. And then Nate Satan, he got it not too long ago. Because back when it was given to him, it was laid out to him, all right? They didn't want it. They refused to. It wasn't that they couldn't understand it. They refused to receive it, and the Most High blocked them from getting it, man.
To be a Gentile.
Go ahead.
Real quick. This is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 24. Because I have called and you refused. I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. But you have set at naught all my counsel and with none of my reproof.
Yeah, that was the Lord's counsel on that night 16 years ago, which you refused. Go ahead.
I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock.
Right, when you niggas get jacked up, the Most High is going to laugh at you, the angels are going to laugh at you, and we're going to laugh at you. Go ahead.
It says, I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For that they hated knowledge, and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil.
That's it. No, what do we? Let's go back.
Isaiah 28 and 8. For all tables are full of vomit and filthiness. So
yeah, when those guys go and try to break down the scripture, they get all messed up. And when they make their videos, we laugh at those idiots, man. And then we go on their comment board and we try to give them the truth, and they buck up against the truth. Go ahead.
It says, so that there is no place clean. Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
Now, let's look up the word stammering. Because a lot of you people are offended, especially you women. You know, you got to have the nice school. Everything's got to be nice. You got everything got to be in order. You got to say, okay, sister, okay, we're going to do, you got to do. No. When we bring this word out, the Most High is going to set up men to bring this word out to you straightforward, raw. We're not gonna bring it to you like we went to some school to learn how to speak properly. You're like Danger Mouse. Yeah, he's proud of the fact that he can speak the Queen's English. You know, that's why them idiots, them blockheads, follow his ass, and they're gonna get a surprise. They're gonna get a surprise when the Most High exposes that Danger Mouse. The way we come out when you watch us on the street, when you see us on the street, either might roll up. We'll go into the scriptures. We'll cut them with the scriptures. Then we might laugh at him and mock at him, man. We might throw a joke on his ass, man. We might come out raw on his ass 1 minute. We might be ready to pull off the garments and go to fisticuff with a nigga, man. We come all different ways, you know. And a lot of people get offended by that. Well, the men of the Lord wouldn't come that way. Well, guess what? That's exactly how the men of the Lord were going to come. Go ahead and read that.
Okay, the Hebrew word there for stammering is la'aig, which means mocking, mocker. Down here it says, speaking in a barbarous or foreign tongue, the people of a strange language. Jester, buffoon, mocker, Psalm 35:16. Mockers for a cake, i.e. parasites who act the part of buffoons at the feasts of the wealthy for the sake of dainty fare. Talking for cake is used for jocose, scurrilous discourse.
Look at the word barbarous, because he said barbarous, a barbarous speech, right? In other words, you're going to have to go to the regular Cracker dictionary or put in the word barbarous, put it in Google. Yeah, every computer is different. All right, go ahead.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 58, verse 1. It says, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
That's right. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, we're in Merriam-Webster dictionary. The word there for the definition for barbarous is uncivilized, lacking culture or refinement, characterized by the occurrence of barbarisms, mercilessly harsh or cruel. That's pretty much it.
Look to see if there's some more definitions on it, some more on the other sites, all right? Because I was going through it this morning, I found a whole lot of stuff. All right, go ahead.
It says, for with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people, to whom he said, this is the rest wherewith you may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear. But the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. Wherefore hear the word of the Lord, ye scornful men, that rule this people which is in Jerusalem. Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves.
So any of you guys teaching that Cornelius is an Israelite in 2011, Cornelius is an Edomite in 2011, that means you ain't getting deep in the scriptures. Go ahead.
It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste. Judgment also will I lay to the line, and righteousness to the plummet, and the hail shall sweep away the refuge of lies, and the water shall overflow the hiding place, and your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then you shall be trodden down by it. From the time that it goeth forth, it shall take you. For morning by morning shall it pass over, by day and by night. And it shall be a vexation only to understand the report. For the bed is shorter than that a man can stretch himself on it, and the covering that narrower than that he can wrap himself in it. For the Lord shall rise up as in Mount Perazim. He shall be wroth as in the valley of Gibeon, that he may do his work, his strange work, and bring to pass his act, his strange act. Now therefore be ye not mockers, lest your bands be made strong. I have heard from the Lord power of hosts, a consumption, even determined upon the whole earth. Give ye ear and hear my voice, hearken and hear my speech. Doth the plowman plow all day to sow? Doth he open and break the clods of his ground? When he hath made plain the face thereof, doth he not cast abroad the fitches, and scatter the cumin, and cast in the principal wheat, and appointed barley, and the rye in their place? For his power doth instruct him to discretion, and doth teach him. For the fitches are not threshed with a threshing instrument, neither is a cartwheel turned about upon the cumin. For the fitches are beaten out with a staff, and the cumin with a rod. Bread corn is bruised, because he will not ever be threshing it, nor break it with the wheel of his cart, nor bruise it with the horsemen. This also cometh forth from the Lord of hosts, which is wonderful in counsel and excellent in working.
In other words, just like you're planting something, there's certain plants, seeds that you put down where you use certain tools in order for not to damage these plants. So it's the same thing with this word. This ain't no 1, 2, 3 thing where you just read the scriptures and that's it. You got to study. You got to get into these scriptures, man. Now let's go back to the book of Revelation. We covered Revelation the 5th chapter. Now let's go to Revelation the 6th chapter.
Revelation chapter 6 verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
Now that's talking about Yahweh Shai. When you go to Revelation the 19th chapter rather, and we can start from the 10th verse.
Revelation chapter 19 verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren.
No, start at the 8th verse.
I'm sorry, all right. Revelation 19 and 8. It says, And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints.
It's talking about Israel getting prepared for the bridegroom, which is Yahweh Shai. Go ahead.
And he saith unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, These are the true sayings of the Most High. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony.
This was an angel where John was ready to bow down to this angel, and the angel said, Don't bow down to me, because I'm a fellow servant, a fellow brother. Go ahead.
That have the testimony.
So you got guys out there that's praying to angels, Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. That's not in the scriptures. It tells you that in Colossians, what is that, the 2nd chapter?
Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Kushab, Shema, Nawa, Aitha, Shalat, Magala, Walahayim, La, Shema'el, Barak, Rapal, Isaac, Magun, Kazak, Ataziyah, Kwawa.
Go ahead.
It says that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, worship the Most High. For the testimony of Yahweh Shai is a spirit of prophecy. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war.
So that's how we know that the white horse in Revelation, the 6th chapter, is talking about Yahweh Shai and what he's getting ready to do. Go ahead.
It says, His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of the Most High. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean.
Now we know he's not going to come back in white horses. The way he's coming back in these chariots, which Esau refers to as the UFOs. But horses represent power. He's coming back in power. Like I said, you got people that read the scriptures. They'll come across this scripture and they'll actually think that the Lord is coming back in a white horse. Go ahead.
And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress.
It says he's going to rule them with a rod of iron. Let's look that up in the blue letter. He said he's going to rule them with a rod of iron. And if he's going to rule them with a rod of iron, who else is going to rule them with a rod of iron? We're going to rule them with a rod of iron. It tells you that, it says we're going to be joint heirs. Whatever the Lord gets, we're going to get.
Okay, we're going to look up in the Greek, rod of iron. First, I'll look up rod.
Strong's G 4464. Hrabdas.
which means a staff, walking stick, rod, branch, a staff used on a journey to lean upon by shepherds. When applied to kings with a rod of iron, indicates the severest, most rigorous rule, a royal scepter. I mean, that's it. I ain't I ain't got to read no more. All right. The next one is, that was rod, by the way. Next one is iron. The Greek there is sideros, which means made of iron, and that's it.
And by the way, the statue in Daniel the second chapter, the iron was represented the Roman Empire. So that iron is an inferior metal to gold, but if you hit something with a golden rod, it's going to bend. It's going to eventually break. If you hit somebody with an iron rod, which is inferior to the gold, it's going to break rocks, it's going to break stone, it's going to break wood, it's going to break your head. So when we take that rod meaning a ruling instrument, a scepter made out of iron, and the elder just read the most strictest form of rulership by kings, and we read that we're going to be kings, right? Didn't we read that in Exodus? Didn't we read that in 1 Peter? Didn't the Most High say we're going to be a royal people? We're going to be sitting up on thrones just like the Lord is, and we're going to have a rod in our hands, and we're going to bust people in the head? Well, if it says that, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to bust you in the head. Like the other day, they had those tornadoes out there in Joplin, Missouri, and they showed it on the news, mainly on CNN, and it's on YouTube. And there was this one guy that was stuck with a bunch of other people, and I guess he had his camera phone or whatever, and he had put the phone on, and these people were wailing and howling and calling in the name of Jesus. And man, every time I saw that, man, I laughed about it. Then there was this little boy, 16-month-old boy, that they were looking for him, and I said, they ain't gonna find him. They're gonna find his ass dead. Sure enough, they found him dead. You know what that is? That's the judgment of the Most High, man. That's the austerity of the Most High. In the time of judgment, that's in James, I believe it's the 2nd chapter, the 13th verse. In the time of judgment, there could be no mercy. So a lot of you little 16-year-old kids, babies, infants, you're going to be sucked up out of your mother's arms and sucked up out of cribs, and you're gonna find his head over there and his feet, little tiny feet over there, because the Most High. And you know what? That's a good thing, because you didn't cry for us when we went into slavery, man. So we ain't gonna cry for you motherfucking devils. Your ass is going down, and I'm gonna laugh about it, man. I don't give a damn if you're a newborn baby. I don't give a damn if you're an old cracker woman. When the Most High brings that judgment down, I'm gonna laugh, and you're fucking going down, man. Go ahead.
James 2:13, for he shall have judgment without mercy that showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment.
That's right. The Most High gonna have judgment without mercy, man. So get used to it. Now, where was we? Go ahead.
Revelation 19:15, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the Almighty power. And when he hath he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power, that you may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on a horse, and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, and that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceedeth out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh.
Yeah, so that anybody that takes that chip, that mark of the beast, which is that microchip, you're going to be destroyed. Now let's go back to where we left off in Revelation, the 6th chapter. Go ahead.
Revelation 6 and 3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard a second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth.
And that's Esau. That's Esau, man. Red. Esau is what color? He's not white, he's red. And he had got power to what? To take peace from the earth. Give me Proverbs 29 and 2, then jump down to the 16th verse, and then jump to the Apocrypha. And there's many examples, man. We got to do a topic just on the treachery of what Esau did through history. Under Columbus, under the conquistadors, under Torquemada, under Ferdinand and Ponce de Leon, under the wars that Gad fought among Esau, the Wounded Knee, the battle at Wounded Knee, the Trail of Tears. There's all kind of things that you damn devils did, man. Not to mention hardcore slavery of Jake. But somehow you're gonna find a way to save this damn devil. All he showed you through the history of his history was he was a perfect devil, and he's still a perfect devil. Go ahead.
Proverbs 29 and 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the
are these Barack Obama, which he's doing the bidding of Esau any damn way, you know, the Congress, and then you got the elite that controls D.C. They portray themselves in the media as being great heroes, that being good people, bringing democracy. We got to help you about taking the resources of them damn people. That's why you're over there in the Middle East, because of that great resource over there in the Middle East, namely oil. And the reason why you in Afghanistan is because of you're planning, or you're building an oil pipeline, or you have an oil pipeline, and you got to maintain that. And also you got the poppies over there. You know, the what do you call them plant? The poppy plant. You take that poppy plant and you turn it into what? Opium, if I'm not mistaken. Because you have these unmanned drones that drop bombs and stuff. Can't you just take them drones and drop bombs on those poppy plants? No, you're trying to protect them damn plants, man. Because you're going to make trillions off of the oil, off of drugs. Go ahead.
Verse 16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall.
Now let's go to the blue letter. Let's look up the word transgress or transgress. That's Proverbs 29 verse 16.
Proverbs 29 and 16, the Hebrew word there for transgression is pashai. Pashai, which means transgression, rebellion, transgression, guilt of transgression, punishment for transgression, offering for transgression. That's it.
Let's go to the Apocrypha now.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth.
Yeah, so anytime this devil multiplied, you had more evil. When this devil came on the earth, that's when you received all this evil. All right, go ahead.
Proverbs 28:12. When righteous men do rejoice, there is great glory. But when the wicked rise, a man is hidden.
Well, that says it all. Now let's go back to where we left off in Revelation 6. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 6, verse 4. It says, And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And
that's what they did too. When they were taking down the dark nations, they amongst themselves. You had World War I, which was a major war. They referred to it as a war to end all wars. Now, we did a special that you can see if you go to YouTube and you go to Melis Archives, and I think it's the first series on that site on YouTube, and it's entitled an in-depth focus on Revelation, the 9th chapter. And it showed you there was this one battle that they had that lasted for almost a year. It was called, what was the name of it? The Battle of Verdun. And they were just dying left and right, man, for a small patch of land for about 9 months. So these Edomites were killing each other. Go ahead.
It says, And there was given unto him a great sword.
What's that great sword? Matter of fact, look up the word sword. Let's see what that means. Because in the ancient world, during the time of the Romans, the Greeks and the Romans, their power was the sword. Their power were bow and arrows. Their power was the spear. Then they learned how to use catapults. Now they have then they had cannons. Now they have missiles. So that's their sword. A sword is a killing instrument. In this case, the modern day sword is what? The missile. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Greek word there is
Strong's G 3162, machera. Machera.
which means a large knife used for killing animals and cutting up flesh, a small sword as distinguished from a large sword, a curved sword for cutting stroke, a straight sword for thrusting. That's it.
Is there a Hebrew word? You can click on the Hebrew form of sword. If not, you know what? Go to the sidebar and put sword, and then click, and then go scroll down. No. On the blue letter itself. Put in the word sword on the sidebar right there, and then click on it, and then get an Old Testament scripture of sword, and then read and get the definition for the word sword in the Hebrew. And there's got to be plenty of them. Got it? All right, go ahead.
Yeah, this is from Genesis 34:25, where it mentions the word sword. And we're going to look it up in the Hebrew. The Hebrew word there for sword is charab, which means sword, knife, sword, tools for cutting stone, sword.
Well, as we know, a sword, the modern day sword, would be a missile, a gun. It cuts. A gun cuts you. All right, go ahead.
This is Genesis 27:38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother.
Now let's go back to where we left off in Revelation.
Revelation chapter 6, verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand.
Now the word balances, I want the brother to look it up, the elder to look it up. The word balances actually mean a yoke. And it's synonymous with the word slavery. So the black horse represent the time when we came over here to this country to serve slavery. actually go to Joel, the 3rd chapter, and the 3rd verse. And when we went into slavery under this man, we had to work for this man by the power of the whip. If we didn't want to work, we got whipped, or we got killed, or we got a limb cut off, or we got the hell beat out of us. Now, if you have a bunch of slaves, you got to keep the slaves alive. So you got to give them water, and you got to give them food, and you got to give them shelter. So the only reason why we got shelter and food and water from this devil is why? To keep us going so we can keep working for this devil. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, the Greek word there is
Strong's G 2218, Zugos. Zugos.
which means a yoke that is put on draught cattle. Metaphor used of any burden or bondage as that of slavery. That's it. Of troublesome laws imposed on one of the Mosaic law. Hence the name is so transferred to the commands of Christ as to contrast them with the commands of the Pharisees, which were a veritable yoke. Yet even Christ's commands must be submitted to, though easier to be kept. Number 2, balanced pair of scales. Yoke, pair of balances. That's it.
Yeah, so the word balance in Revelation, the 6th chapter, really means yoke. And it's synonymous with the word slavery. Because did not they put a yoke of iron? You got that in Deuteronomy? Yeah, hold that in Joel. Give me Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 47th verse.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Yeah, so the yoke of iron, if you go to any slave reference, go to the illustrated section of Google, look up the word slavery, Negro slavery, American slavery, you're going to run into a handful of pictures of Israelites in hardcore slavery under Esau with a yoke of iron around his neck. So that black horse represents the fact that we came over to this country because this was the dark time of Israel. This is the lowest form of Israel, man. When we went, the lowest form of the punishment that the Most High put on us was when we first came over here to the Americas. And then later it spoke about the Latin tribes, but Jake caught it the most up here in America in hardcore slavery. Right, that's why David referred to this place as the Valley of the Shadow of Death, which is America. Valley means a low land. All right, go ahead.
Verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. Joel 3:3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the, that you might remove them far from their border.
Now the Lord is talking to the so-called Arabs, because when you go back to the go to Google or any reference book on slavery, it's a well-known fact that we came from the Africas, mainly the western part of Africa, to the Americas, because Esau went over to the other side of the world, made a deal with the Africans and the Arabs, because the Arabs partially supplied the ships and so forth, and the slaves. They showed you that in that movie Gladiator, where this guy owned Oliver Reed. I always call him Stacy Keach, but that's Oliver Reed, Proximo. And I remember him when he was a young actor, right? But he died when the movie was made, because there was a tribute to him at the end of the movie. Anyway, he was a slave master, and who was he working with? With them Arabs, man. And one Arab guy would bring giraffes to him, or elephants, or sometimes slaves. And they showed you a dark-skinned man, a so-called Hamite, which could have been a Jake. He was in slavery. And he said, I use you people, and I put you into the arenas to profit from your death. Because they put him in the arena to fight the gladiators as slaves, and they would bet whether the slave would win or the gladiator would win. And if the slave was a good fighter, guess what? At the end of his time, the Caesar at that time would admire him and say, you know what? I'm going to give you a wooden sword, and I'm going to grant you your freedom. So if you were a great enough fighter, you receive your freedom because of the fact that you know how to fight well. So they showed you, going back to that movie, that you had Proximo arguing with that Arab guy, and then you had Hamites or Jakes in the scene of that movie, in the beginning scene of that movie. So that didn't change. From the time of the Roman Empire up until the time of the so-called New World. Go ahead.
It says, behold, I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and will return your...
Where was we sold to? the Americas. And not just America, but around the world. But the main place, that's why all the tribes are being brought over here within the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. All the tribes are here. And the Most High said he's going to raise them out. Who are them? The Israelites. Go ahead.
It says, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand.
So after the Most High sets us up in our kingdom, is slavery going to be done away with? Is slavery going to be abolished? They're going to go into slavery, man. Read that again.
And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it.
Now let's go back to where we left off.
Revelation chapter 6, verse 6. It says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
Yeah, barley, it was a measure of wheat for a penny, and a measure of barley for 3 pennies, was it?
Measure of wheat for a penny, and measure of a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny.
And 3 measures of barley for a penny. In other words, that represents actual food, but it also represents the scriptures. Because you don't need a lot of money to buy a Bible to learn this truth. You don't need to go on the website to watch our videos and have to pay us. You know? So that represents this food. It's twofold. While we in this man's society, this man was going to feed us. Matter of fact, give me Revelation, the 12th chapter. Go ahead. You know what verse I want? Right about the 12th verse around there. Where, no. Where it says fed by the serpent. 14, I'm sorry.
Revelation 12 and 14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent.
The serpent is a so-called white man. I'll read that again and get that on the blue letter.
Revelation 12:14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and a half a time, from the face of the serpent.
Right. Look up the word nourished.
Yeah, the Greek word there for nourished
Strong's G 5142, trefo. Trefo.
which means to nourish, support, feed, to give suck, to fatten, to bring up, to nurture, to bring up and nurture.
And that's what this man did. So this man didn't bring us over here to this society to destroy us. He brought us over here to profit from our bodies, from the work, from the use of our bodies, out in cotton fields and so forth. So he had to feed us. So of course we were nourished, and it says it nourished in front of the face of the serpent. Who's the serpent? This damn devil. When you go to Revelation, the 20th chapter, it tells you about the serpent. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 25, verse 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins which took their lamps.
Did you read the part about oil? All right, go ahead.
Okay, it says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
So we're going to find out what the oil is and what the wine is. Go ahead.
Okay, Matthew 25 and 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom, and 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept, and at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bride cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out.
Now that oil represents the scriptures, but it also represents the understanding of the scriptures. Because the Most High has to open up your eyes to get the understanding of the scriptures. That's why you got guys out there, Israelites out there, teaching that Cornelius is an Edomite, teaching that Joseph and Mary never had sex, and many other things that they teach. Teaching that Esau can make it. Or not even teaching that the so-called white man's Esau. They're teaching that the so-called white man is Japhet. So they don't have the oil. So they're scrambling to get the oil, but they never had it back then. The ones that had it back then, they're going to have it right now. That's why the scripture said in Revelation, the 6th chapter, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So this was going to be in us, man. You know, these Edomites, these elite, they're scratching their head. How do they figure all this stuff out? Because of the scripture. See thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Go ahead.
Proverbs 21 and 20. There is treasure to be desired, and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up.
Because you got guys that was given this knowledge, and you know what they did? When it wasn't hyped to be an Israelite anymore, you went right back into the world. Then you came across YouTube, and you see us, and you see all these videos, and now you got all these guys propping up. And like I said, we know all, you guys don't know them faces, man. You think them guys are new? We know all those guys that's popping up. We know all those guys. Go ahead.
It says back in Matthew 25 and 6, and at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves.
In other words, you got to get this for yourself. We can't stop. We done already brought this truth out. We done taught it to certain brothers. When all hell breaks loose, we ain't going to have time to say, okay, brother, let me sit down and break these. If you don't got it now, when all hell breaks loose, that's too damn bad, man. Matter of fact, get me Isaiah, the 33rd chapter, in the 6th verse.
Isaiah 33 and 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times.
That's the oil. Go ahead.
And strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure.
So we're going to be stabilizing this thing. Matter of fact, go to that in the blue letter. Isaiah 33, verse 6. Look up the word stability.
All right. 33 and 6. We're going to look up in the Hebrew stability. The word there in the Hebrew is amawana, amawana, which means faithfulness, truth, faithfully, faithful, stability, steady, truly, faithfulness in fulfilling promises, firmness. So that's the word.
Firmness means to be planted and to stay planted. You had guys that wasn't planted. They went back into the world. So now they're trying to replant themselves. They're trying to get firm again. They ain't going to get firm. Because you wasn't rooted. You wasn't grounded. That's why through the years you see a lot of guys fall off, but now you see these guys trying to come back in and trying to act like they have this knowledge and they always been in it. They're not going to tell you that they felt. None of these guys, clowns that you see on YouTube, they're not going to tell you that, oh, well, I haven't did this in the last 15 years, but now I'm back. They're just going to make videos like they always been doing it. And then you're going to be impressed. Oh, my goodness, this guy's deep. He's breaking down. Yeah, because you were one of the guys, the guy that you're seeing is one of those guys that took the coin and put it in a napkin and put it in his back pocket and went back into the world. So now he's trying to take that coin out of his back pocket and polish it up like he always had the truth. But the Lord sees everything. Go ahead.
It says, and while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went.
Now they're trying to hustle to study and find this truth. And when they go to hustling and trying to find this truth and try to get reestablished with the Lord's going to come. And you know what? You're going to be destroyed. Go ahead.
And they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh.
Yeah, for a number of years, some 15 years, 16, 17, 10 years, they went back. They wasn't thinking about the end of this society, man. Now let's go back to Revelation when we left off. You got something? Yeah, go ahead.
Songs of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 1. Oh, that thou wert as my brother, that sucked the breast of my mother. When I should find thee without, I would kiss thee.
Find thee without what? This truth. When I go to kiss you, that means I'm kissing you with this truth. That's why we go on the highways and the byways, so we can attempt to wake up our people. I use the word attempt because we go out there and we push the word, and we're hoping that some of you Israelites will wake up. Now, where we've been going for the last couple of years, Jake knows where we are. They know where we are on YouTube. It was a fad. One time they was into it. You got a bunch of guys that came into this thing, but now it's like, Jake, well, I'm looking for the new thing now. Now, when all hell breaks loose, you're going to be looking to try to get back in the good graces of the Most High, and it's not going to work. You're going to be right here, and you're going to suffer the punishment that Esau is going to suffer. Go ahead.
It says, yea, I should not be despised.
Yeah, when we bring you this truth, we shouldn't be despised. You should accept this thing with open arms for your salvation. But this is only given to the elect. Go ahead.
It says, I would lead thee and bring thee into my mother's house, who would instruct me. I would cause thee to drink of spiced wine and of the juice of my pomegranate. His left hand should be...
Which is the spiced wine and the pomegranate is this truth. And we can't deal with guys when we go to show you something in the scriptures. No, in the Quran it says something different. No, I don't see it that way. No, it's this other brother, I watched this other video, and they said that Cornelius is an Edomite. What you got to say about that? We can't deal with it. We're going to deal with you only so long, man, and then we're going to distance ourselves from you. Because we're at the end of this thing. We don't have to bend our back backwards to try to get you to get this knowledge. We've been bringing this knowledge out. If you can't get it, you ain't meant to get it. Your eyes are not open. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 6, verse 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was
What verse you in?
verse 8 now.
What's the last verse of this chapter?
Verse 17.
Okay, so verse 8. We're going to stop at verse 8, and we're going to continue this through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai next week. So with that, I'm going to say shalom.